Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, all over Ohio State football this week with Steve Hellwagon. Catch his work at 247 Sports, Bucknuts, and also as the senior writer for Big Ten Sports. Steve, how you doing this afternoon? All right, Steve, this spring football session, obviously there's always a concern from the coaching staff in certain areas. As you scan the field and scan the units to get into the minds of Urban Meyer and the rest of the staff, what do you think concerns them? What do you think is first and foremost on their mind to get cleaned up?
Well, I think you lose probably 7 or 8 starters and guys who've been mainstays, and 2 and 3 year starters in some case, and JT Barrett 3.5 years at the quarterback position. So I think you start there with the quarterback position. You got to find and identify somebody who can help you win Big Ten games and beat teams like TCU, who they're going to play early in the season with a great defense, help you get into the playoff, help you beat teams in the playoff, because that's basically the goal at Ohio State right now, year in and year out, is to contend and play for the national championship and to win the national championship. So they don't make any bones about it. That's kind of where things are with Ohio State right now. And of course, you know, the much of the talk there is between Dwayne Haskins, the sophomore, and Joe Burrow, who will be a fourth-year junior this year. Those two guys seem to be the first 2 guys in line at that all-important position, but that's not the only position across the board. You lost the Remington Award winner at center with Billy Price. You lost your left tackle, Jamarco Jones. You lost your tight end, Marcus Ball. So right there are 3 or 4 more spots that I don't know if it's keeping Urban Meyer and the offensive coaches up at night, but certainly has got their attention this spring. The way they schedule spring at Ohio State's interesting. They're on spring break right now this whole week. They practiced twice last week, and then on Monday they will start back in with the last 13 practices that they are permitted, and they will run up through the spring game on April the 14th at Ohio Stadium. So that gives you an idea. I would say a little bit disjointed, but that's how they like to do it, is to give the guys a couple practices to get acclimated early, a week off, and then come back and they really get to work here in the next couple of weeks leading up to that spring game. But, yeah, there's all kinds of position battles across the board that I think are really kind of taking the coaching staff and really have their attention this spring.
We've got Steve Hellwagon on board. He's the Big Ten senior writer for 247 Sports. Check out his work at Bucknuts Football and Basketball. Of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel for the best in college football coverage across the board. The audio versions you can catch at Google Play, Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher. So, Steve, I know that once Mike Weber got healthy last year and he became himself, and J.K. Dobbins was, of course, a dynamic back, that there was much thought, and I certainly saw it in flashes, especially in the Michigan State game, where there was potential to get these 2 guys in the same backfield. I know that's not the typical set for an Urban Meyer offense to have 2 backs in the backfield, but to get these 2 guys involved where the defense doesn't know what's coming, and I would hope to see that more here in 2018.
Yeah, I think that's a definite possibility, Mark. I think, go back to the year before in 2016 when they had Curtis Samuel and they put him in the backfield with Mike Weber, and Mike Weber was a great blocker for Curtis Samuel. He led the way for the winning touchdown against Michigan in that big double overtime win that they had that year. They don't want to beat Mike Weber up, though, as a blocker. He's only about 215 pounds, so he's not the biggest guy in the world. Dobbins was just nothing short of phenomenal as a true freshman. And when you think about how he had been injured the year before in high school and had not played only just a few snaps of his senior year in high school, then he came into Ohio State early, got healthy, and when Weber had a hamstring injury, that allowed Dobbins to step in there and take over that tailback position. He rushed for over 1,000 yards. Weber had 1,000 yards the year before, so they're one of the few schools, if any, in the country coming into 2018 who have a pair of guys who have 1,000-yard rushing season under their belt. I'm not sure if anybody else would have something like that, and yet so much more. that one or both of those guys can do this coming year. Weber seriously thought about leaving Ohio State to enter into the National Football League after last season, and he did come on the last 3 or 4 games once he was healthy, really made a tremendous difference. But I think right now the coaching staff is looking at ways. I think Dobbins is the one, Weber's the 1A, based on how it kind of appears and what you would think. They're going to look for ways to get them both involved. There'll be plenty of work for both of them with a new quarterback, and the thought that maybe the quarterback, now that Barrett is gone, will not be one of the primary ball carriers, that maybe they'll lay that off onto the running backs in total this year. So I guess we'll have to see how that plays out this upcoming season. But I think you got to be excited about the tandem at running back, Dobbins and Weber, just 2 tremendous backs.